presented by USAA Insurance. They make it easy to insure your stuff like rigs and gear, and they have your back. The Call of Duty League is brought to you by ActiveStat, the next generation analytics platform built with Google Cloud that brings fans, players, and commentators the power of competitive statistics in real time. Call of Duty League is brought to you by T-Mobile. T-Mobile is the shot caller in 5G. Lead the game from the lobby to the last push with America's largest, fastest, and now most reliable 5G network.
Hello everybody and welcome to day 2 of the Seattle home series. We are starting off the day the right way with the Florida Mutineers taking on those boys, the Toronto Ultra. Before we talk more in depth with the match, let's talk about what all of this means. Now take a look at our CDL points presented by Game Fuel. As the desk touched on, 5 points away are Atlanta FaZe from reaching 500. Pretty crazy to think about. However, the majority of the race relies on the teams that sit below them. Obviously, we're talking about the Toronto Ultra in specific as they look to try to hold off those dastardly boys in the Dallas Empire. But we are happy to join you from our Seattle online HQ, Lado and Standy, guiding you guys through the action once again today. And buddy, we have got an excellent series on our hands. Toronto Ultra versus Florida Mutineers very well has implications on who will have first seed in Group B.
Yeah, this is an absolute banger. You got two teams so far throughout Stage 5 who are undefeated, sitting at a nice 3-0. You have Toronto, who's trying to stay in that second seed, and Florida, who's trying to get up to that 6th spot, only 20 points behind Minnesota. This is a banger series. I can't wait for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolute blast. As we said, implications in a major way for both of these teams, but specifically, as we mentioned, for the Toronto Ultra, trying to hold off the Dallas Empire, also trying to cement themselves in that first seed when it comes down to this group stage. Can they make it 4-0 to start? Let's go ahead and meet the boys, your Toronto Ultra.
Yeah. Hey. I'ma get right in my bag. Why you gonna try to get mad? Everybody wanna keep up. Don't you know I move too fast? I'ma zip right past. Drip all on my swag. Why you trying to size me up? You don't wanna try your luck. How does it stove? What did you know? Burn like coal, yeah, you know I go. Way too hot, yeah, really too cold. I'ma keep going till I hit my goals. Better get back when I'm in my zone. Do it for the ones that I know back home. Did it myself, they ain't put me on. Don't you call back if you hear that tone.
Well, Stud, the Toronto Ultra are a hard team to criticize. Really, the only thing you can point out is the fact that they have lost a hard point, but they've been perfect in search and destroy and control.
Man, when you talk about this team, this is like the number 2 team in our entire CDL roster, obviously sitting underneath FaZe, but these guys are looking better than ever so far in Stage 5. Like you said, only one hard point loss, and that loss came to, obviously, when they went up in that matchup versus Minnesota. They dominated versus LAG, they dominated Seattle, and now they find themselves in a matchup here, which is going to be a tough one for them because both these teams have a ton of momentum, but Toronto, I still think they're the second best team in this game, and they know the pressure that they have to keep that second seed, so they're going to come out and perform today.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we mentioned, I mean, there's a lot of things on the line when we talk about the Toronto Ultra, but the same can be said slightly in a different way for the Florida Mutineers. We know obviously they have wrapped up being in that top 8 position, but they want to improve on that. Much like the Ultra, this team has been off to an electric start. They're sitting at 3-0. They've got a number of different players going off for the roster. Let's go ahead and get well acquainted with this team, your Florida Mutineers.
Big situation. And a nice 3-piece coming in from Big Wake.
Neptune is playing this, trying to fade him out, but aBeZy gets into a nice aBeZy finally a reposition, but aBeZy
just a little bit too much, but Neptune.
He's still got the wall raging for P2, that Neptune is winning single-handedly.
Great work. Again, looking at that mini-map, we know where they're coming from. These players do all round.
But these boys
Have to get through skies.
You have to get through skies! What in the is this?
A win today for the Florida Mutineers would put them in that first seed coming in toward the Stage 5 major, and I guess the same thing for the most part could be said, Stud. Again, a team that we really have a hard time criticizing for the most part, but I think it's fair to say this series versus the Ultra is going to be a proving game. You know, they've beaten LAG, they've beaten Seattle, and most importantly, they took down Dallas, but now, as you mentioned, they face off against what we consider to be the second best team in the league.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough matchup for Florida, but as of recent, when you're looking at this team, at least from the entire year, this is a team that was sitting around the middle of the pack. They couldn't get above the top 5. They couldn't get below the top 8. But I think finally now, in Stage 5, they are getting to full form. Neptune and Havoc starting to play with more confidence. But let's just hop right into our keys to victory for the Florida Mutineers. Mutineers have been solid in hardpoint this stage, 6-0 so far. Is on the back of the duo, the dynamic duo of Skies and Neptune. You see Skies 1.5, Neptune 1.44. Those guys are doing it all in hardpoint. And Havoc also the shutdown Cammy in the S&Ds. He did a great job the last time they matched up. He had a 2.0 and he held Cammy to a 0.3. We do not see that often. So I'm looking at Havoc to step up big. And then also, Big Wake needs to show up in the respawns. I feel like we haven't been talking about Big Wake for quite some time now because Skies, he's just taking all the spotlight, but this is a guy who has at any chance in the game to just go off. Yeah. And right now, in both of the respawns, he's sitting underneath a 1-0 KD. Really, he hasn't really been tested yet with the matches that he went into, but now versus the Ultra, you need this guy to wake up and be on point.
Yeah, you absolutely do. Number of different players to look out for. Big Wake without question. One of those players at the top of the list. Now, our game field keys to victory here for the Toronto Ultra continue to be lethal versus a team that has had your number in Search and Destroy, as you mentioned it when we talk about how the Florida Mutineers have played off against this team. Ultra most recently have not had a ton of success in that mode. Also, Ultra sees success when the SMGs play well. Typically, they did a great performance for them alongside what has been a great stage so far for the ARs. And then finally, Insight needs to continue to take over. And today he's going to have a very interesting battle versus Skies, as both of them sit in the number 1 and number 2 spot in overall KD so far throughout Stage 5. I mean, you know, there's been a lot of conversations said. I know we released, you know, our top 5 candidates for MVP, and there's been a lot of people talking about, you know, where's Insight at? Doesn't he deserve to be on the list? And it's, I'll tell you what, man, it's not a hard argument to make considering how great of a rookie year that he has had. And now take a look at our maps and modes. How do you think this one sits?
Looking at the maps and mode, I really like these for both of these rosters. The only one that really scares me is that Garrison control, because obviously Toronto, they've been great at the game mode and they just have such a positive record as they're sitting at 11-4 in that compared to Florida's 5-5. So they're a little bit more confident there, and that's usually the swing mode. So whoever's going to be able to at least start off early into this series, you need to come out and take that map number 3, because then the series is basically going to be locked up.
Yeah, and I know one other thing too that you and I had the conversation about. You did the research, went back to that Stage 4 matchup between both of these teams. The Search and Destroys, as we mentioned, went Florida's way. That was the overall difference maker. That Game 2 Search and Destroy on standoff is the exact same map that they had back in Stage 4. So as we mentioned, that Game 1 now is incredibly important for both of these teams. Also considering that Florida did win that Search and Destroy on standoff last time these teams met around a month ago. So just kind of heavily emphasizes what is going to be a phenomenal match. As we said, major implications on who will be your first seed here in what has been a very, very fun Group B. Starting things off on Garrison, and it's not really the big conversation. Big question is, can the Mutineers continue up what has been a flawless streak? Do you think they make it 7-0?
I think so, man. Just the confidence out of Havoc and Neptune so far throughout the stage. Havoc is playing so confident. Neptune, 1.44 in hardpoint. That's not easy to do. Remember, this is his first year in COD. The guy is just learning to the fastest of his ability. Yep. The guy's just doing it all, man. Putting in so much work on the backside, playing S&D tournaments. He really wants this, and it's been showing in this game so far.
Yeah, and it's impressive. As we mentioned, I mean, we've had a number of different series where it just feels like every single time we take a look at Neptune, he's improving. You know, he went from kind of being the X factor for this group where it's like, you know, at times he can really explode. I know there was times like we're on Express Search and Destroy, like that was his map for the longest of times, but he's really kind of stepped up and been, I guess, kind of more of that second player that we expected Awakening to be. It's, you know, the Skies show a majority of the time, but Neptune, he's right there beside him.
Yeah, man, because he can do it multiple ways. Like, he picks up the SMG, he's gonna pick up a 2-piece. He decides to pick up a Krig and stay long distance, make sure he's holding the spawns. He's able to do that, and usually you don't see that with a rookie on his very first year. He's looking like a vet out there on the map, and if he continues to play the way that he does, his career has a bright future.
Oh, it absolutely does. Keeping in mind, the ARs try to hold from the front of the Ultra, but it may in fact be Bance making his way on the cheeky flank, and that'll be 2. We talk about so often how really a majority of these series, big games for the Ultra, it comes down to the SMGs, and that is a great sight to see. Bance locking down the hill at 7-3, and CleanX doing the dirty work here inside of Bricks. Back and forth we go, but it's the SMGs that are holding things down at P2.
Toronto's doing a great job at holding this from the front. Usually don't see this, but this is going to allow them to have that easy rotation over to that P3. They're doing a good job of just getting a good chunk of time off of this P2 with 14 seconds left. Sky's going to be able to pick up that kill, so now the chunk time is going to go in favor of Florida. But if you're Ultra, you're not really mad. You did a great job on that P2. Now you're going to be fully set up for P3. You just have to make sure you're not dying off this rotation as CleanX finds one.
Nice kill as well comes through from CleanX. Not just 1, but also 2. As you mentioned, based off the map positioning, great awareness out of the Ultra now sets them up for some good time here at P3 as the Mutineers looking to just get past the 50-yard line. Problem for them that for a moment CleanX was hanging out. He'll die off of that 5 spree. Sweat off the brow type of situation if you are the Mutineers as they look to pile their way here in toward the vents, as that'll be 2 early kills. You see Awakening switching over toward that 74U, more of a close range. CleanX tries to trade out for 1 inside toward the back lines as everybody for the Ultra is going to be spawned up. Mutineers make a good attempt at the hill, but it's Ultra still holding things down strong as Bance comes away with 2 more.
And you see how they pick up those 3 kills and immediately push forward. And that is what's going to happen is now that Florida are starting to get those bad spawns. Ultra know exactly what to do in that situation. They know exactly what they do when they chain those couple of kills together. And that's what they executed there perfectly as the spawns are going to be flipped. Ultra are trying to spawn out towards green, but actually Florida find 3 kills. They're able to flip it right back on their head. And now Florida are going to be fully set up with a great spawn.
Just back and forth we go. As we mentioned, we knew it was going to be a head-on-head battle. Both teams so strong and really across the entire board. I mean, there's not a whole lot of teams that you can say have been consistent for the most part across all 3 modes, but these teams just continuing to show how strong they are right now in the hard points. As Ultra getting ever closer toward that century mark. We'll step aside and listen in with the comms as we go to our Astro Listen now with the Ultra.
Oh, he's mid-tank, guys. On time, really weak. Nice, good shot.
Nice. Okay, shit on. There's two. One win gold.
Okay, yeah, I'm pushing up left side. Will you, Ben?
Let's go.
Fucking...
He's pushed out. I'm dead, man. He's
Where
already P1.
Okay,
Wait, one's on time.
I'm green, dead. Nice.
Let's go.
Deep back him.
I'm not catch shot.
I'm hitting green first.
Mid side tank.
Yeah, he's kill me deep, guys.
Square.
There's one on the ramp as well. Wait,
Take your time.
Stay alive.
wait.
Nah, I spawned the back, yeah. Can wrap left here.
Stay alive.
Yeah, one close left.
Yeah, he's probably outer. I'm watching inner, yeah.
I'm behind him.
Okay, now, yeah, top grade. I'm watching inner. Inner Neptune really weak.
One's top green.
Outer.
Oh, hit your ramp.
Hey, what?
Top.
Nice, top green.
Neptune was in the
They
top.
they spawn back.
Havoc was top green, you said?
Nice.
Top green, right?
Yeah, he was.
Okay, I'm
Deep
pushing.
left.
Wait, where are you guys?
I don't see Havoc right now. I'm going P4, Ben.
Make sure you block. Deep left, Jamie. Screaming.
Looking for Havoc. That's weak.
Deep
I
left.
don't know where he's going.
Back to me.
Where's
Pinch me.
he? Where's he? Okay,
That's usually, but both of y'all deep.
Havoc on the tank, and then I got shot in the back. One's deep, nice. On time.
Making a 1 shot. 1 more behind you.
I spawned fucking in the back still. The spawning brick.
One's a brick.
Block vent.
Yeah.
I'm already out.
Good long, Ben.
It might spawn floating on you,
Rails
honestly.
Wait,
connector.
I'm absolute. On rails.
I have a 1 shot flat.
Full spawn here. They could have made barracks.
Yep.
Yeah, in connector, shallow with me.
They'll be weak. One shot.
Top green.
Guys in
Both
Havoc.
1 shot.
Top green.
Chill.
Let me out, right?
Hit you out gold.
Yeah, in gold. Guys, 1 shot. Run back to time.
We're looking for one left.
Yeah, on the left somewhere. I don't know where.
Play for him.
I think he's probably P2, yeah. He's probably P2 on the start or something. Unless he's outer.
Right side mid. He's towards P4.
I'm wide up on
P4.
Top green awakening got me.
I went up here. Nice, Jamie.
Nice, Ben. Good shot. I spawned out.
Top green.
I spawned plat.
Nice.
I spawned plat.
Neptune.
I'm enemy.
Yeah.
Weak.
Nice.
Nice.
Where are they spawning?
Back left.
Spawning floating.
Yeah, it could be floating and back left.
Yeah, okay.
I'm here. I'm on the crate.
Yeah, floating skies. Kind of weak. Floating skies.
Give me Havoc.
The one's rails as well.
Where's he going?
Rails spawned out. I spawned out.
Well, folks, this first set of rotations come to a close. Another money hill nearly up next. I mean, so far for Toronto, it's been the SMGs leading the way.
Yeah, and we brought that up in the keys to victory, man. We said if the SMGs can go off, it's going to open up so many things for the ARs because they just play so consistent. Insight right now is #2 overall KD in this stage. So if you can just get these SMGs to play well, Toronto Ultra are going to be able to walk away with this. And right now, Bant sitting at 19 and 11, Cleanex at 14 and 16. Just more focused on Bant. He's having himself a game, man. He's playing so annoying, forcing the players from Florida to overextend and try to locate him. And even when they're not picking up that kill, it's messing up their setup. And it's been working out so far right now for Toronto.
Yeah, it has been, but right as we start to give the highlight toward Toronto, and well-deserved, we have to quickly toss it back now toward the Mutineers as they have flipped spawns toward that back brick side. It was something they had been working on for the last minute and a half. They finally get it done right as those 40 seconds pop up, and they've held every second since. Doing a great job at not just bringing this game close, but now taking the lead. As you notice for the Ultra, they're saying, hey, you know what? We're going to chalk P2. We'll set up for next and try to do the same thing we did in the first set of rotations. Keep Mutineers at bay, keep them distance back, and do your best to hold them in the backside of the spawns. With 3 seconds left, overall positioning. Farthest pushed up player is going to be Neptune, but he gets found out as Toronto now have an opportunity to try and bring this game back to more of a level heading.
Yeah, they need to have a good answer here once again. They dominated the P3 first go-around. They couldn't even allow Florida, even when kills were going back and forth, they still held control of those spawns. So they were able to get a good chunk of time off this. But 2 players are actually going to drop. You have them spawning in the back, but Awakening is actually going to pick up another kill there, make it on a 5 spree. He's going to get dropped by Insight, but now this is going to allow his teammates to try to put some pressure on this hill and eventually contest this, not let this one get out of hand. As Havoc has snuck his way through, though. Havoc's going to sneak his way through. And I don't know if this is going to be a readable play. Those players from Toronto still spawning in towards the backside. Right now, Florida, they're just doing a great job at just keeping this contested, not allowing Ultra to get fully set up on this hard point.
Just a solid play from Havoc overall. And you notice he wasn't trying to go for kills. He was just trying to block those spawns, just trying to prioritize the overall positioning of the map. As back and forth we go, we could very well be looking at another lead change. That's the scary thing if you are Mutineers fans, that as we mentioned, this team has been very, very reliant on the hard points. Not necessarily to a fault, because as we said, they've been 3-0, but what happens if you drop that opening hard point? What happens if you have to rely on that search and destroy and control? Because what, they said 2-1 in S&D and control 1-2, almost kind of mimicking what was a Subliners type of scoreline we saw 2 stages ago.
Yeah, so they have to just stay successful in their hardpoint game right now, because they're still trying to fix on the couple things in their control game mode and also in S&D. Obviously, they've been seeing a lot more success in search and destroy, especially when you're going up against the Ultra. Last time Havoc was going off, but they need to come out and just get that momentum. They've been starting off stage 5 by opening up with that opening hardpoint, and that's been driving them through a lot of these series. So it's still a fairly close game with them only being down 11 points. Obviously, the spawns are still coming in for Florida. They have to try to stay alive, but Cleanex with the Diamati able to pick up 3 on the multi-kill.
Absolutely disgusting type of plays from Cleanex. And still now hang out in lights, and he well deserves that position on the map as he has earned it, but Havoc quickly on the reply. He and Awakening will find 2. So despite the lovely plays coming through from good old Toby, it is only going to do so much as the Mutineers, much like we expect and much like how this game has appeared, it's been all about back and forth type of play. As it's what? Going to be Bants on the flank, but Sky still holds on toward that top green position. Does get gunned from Bants as it is just a matter of trade after trade on the hill. Trade after trade on the map, and this score stud, it feels like it could not get any closer. We've been dancing around 5 up to 5 down for the last 30 seconds.
Yeah, this is a great hardpoint, man. Down to the wire between both of these teams. They know how important this opening hardpoint is in this series. But right now, Florida, they're doing a great job of just fighting out of this back spawn. That's going to be 3 dead, and they also flip the spawns as well. So what Florida were able to do with the first go-around on rotations was able to at least get some good time off of that P5 to P1 rotation. And that's something that we've been seeing a lot recently in the CDL, is teams being great at just chaining these together. And right now, Florida, they're in the driver's seat. Even though they do not have the good spawns for that P2, just getting a good chunk of time on this P1 is exactly what they want.
Yeah, we'll kind of watch for the next 40 seconds what the attempt is from the Mutineers. Will they even have an opportunity to try and break toward top green and try to flip those spawns? And if they do, what does that positioning begin to look like? So with 30 seconds, again, another lead change. But Ultra, happy with where they sit in regards to spawns. One thing to consider too, that we have 28 seconds on the clock. So if things did not get more dicey, based off how contest heavy it feels like a lot of these HPs have been, it also is now going to be indicated in that score. As we mentioned, 26 and some change on the clock, as that one will start to come down. Final 5 seconds of P1 is now it's time for the Money Hill, and Awakening is trying to go big. 74U now swaps toward the Krig. As he gets dealt with, it's now going to be up to Neptune and Havoc making their way in from top green, but Inside is here once more, having the Diamante out as we stop the clock at 16, 2:05 to 2:01. Cammy's trying to watch the plays, coming in from backlights. He's able to win that fight as well. And now the Mutineers, they start to get shortchanged a little bit. You see them starting to scramble for the most part, trying to make their way toward back bricks, but that could be the opening. They find 2 in a row. Bance can escape with his life. The final player on the hill, that's going to be Insight. 5 seconds on the clock, but Cammy, he's watching over for his teammate as Insight decides to dominate inside of the hill. A minute on the clock, but Kleenex jumps right outside of the hill because the time has expired. And what a hard point, back and forth all the way throughout. And my word, Ultra will claim game 1, but boy, was it a close one. And boy, did they deserve the victory, considering how much of an onslaught that was, Stud.
That was a great hard point between both of those teams, man. I didn't think that the clock was going to come into play, but both of these guys not trying to make any mistakes. They know that the contest is big, and you even saw Bance. When he was the last player on the Toronto side, he's hopping off of that because he knows they have to flood out of top green. If I put myself in this power position and pick up a couple kills, the game is basically going to be over. And, oh, man, what a start to that series, man. Ultra, they clutched up.
I mean, that very well could be considered. I know we've had like 240 or 250, 248 type of games on the year, but like, I don't know if we've had that many lead changes. This kind of craziness toward the end really go down. But Stub, what did you see in our final few seconds of this hard point that allowed for Ultra to take the win?
They just pick up a couple kills, as you see Florida trying to push through the middle of the map, trying to take control of bricks, and then them just opening up with that 2 kills is going to force, obviously, the Florida players to have a miscommunication or just like a not really a settled push with all 4 players being there. So it's going to be a staggered thing, and unfortunately, Ultra, they're still going to have the better spawns. They're still going to be spawning right behind that point, so they're just filling in the gaps, man, and Ultra do it perfectly to close out game 1.
Yeah, they do indeed. You see the Ultra boys getting hyped after a W like that. As we continue to reference, that hard point was so important. Ultra now have that in their back pocket, folks. When we come back after the break, it will be Search and Destroy on Standoff.
The Call of Duty League is presented by the US Army. What's your warrior? Presented by USAA. Getting insurance with USAA is easier than level 1. Learn more at usaa.com/insurance.
Welcome back, friends. Boy, am I sweating after that. We were told that was the 7th time in 340 hard points that a game other than a win has happened without a team hitting 250 points. That also might be one of the lowest scoring hard points that we've seen throughout this season as well. But let's go ahead and get into the conversation, talking solely about search and destroys. We've got standoff up next for game number 2. Instead, what do you see here with the Mutineers, boys?
Yeah, so obviously you see Awakening. He's ranked 8th, sitting at a 1.13. He's the guy that's usually left in the clutch. The 1v3s, picking up a couple free kills. So that's why his stats are a little better. But just pay attention to Havoc. That was the one I was going to take away the most. Sitting at 48, he's their playmaker. And usually when he's going off for search and destroy, that's when the Florida see a lot of success. But on the opposite side, you have Ultra, Insight, number 2 overall, 1.28. Cammy sitting right underneath him at 1.13 in 7th. Those guys are just unbelievable in search and destroy, man. They hold down their lanes properly. Like I said, Cammy is their island player, their playmaker that's going to be hitting late flanks. And I'm looking at a player like Havoc who can try to shut him down once again.
Yeah, I mean, you've constantly highlighted how important it is when it comes down to the playmakers for those guys to really be on point. As you mentioned, it was Havoc last time. We'll see if that fight goes slightly differently today. But folks, we will have that search and destroy up here in just a moment. But first, a quick word from our sponsor.
We make USAA insurance for renters who make the most of their space and money. That's why we make it easy to cover the stuff you love for as little as 33 cents a day. USAA, what you're made of, we're made for.
All right, stud, we'll go and take a look at really the maps and modes throughout the remainder of this series. And again, the big conversation coming into this standoff search destroy, when these teams did face off back in stage 4, it was the Mutineers getting the victory, and it was all about search and destroys on their way to getting that game 5 upset.
Yeah, and they need to come out and get the job done again today in that S&D column because they're down 0-1 in this series. Then you're going to go into that control where Toronto, they're really dominant that map. But if you're Florida, you have to try to get into that map number 4 because they are undefeated on that raid hardpoint. But it all starts with the search and destroy. I think the most important part of this map, believe it or not, is going to be the back alley because last time these guys played, I felt like Havoc was flanking every single round uncontested. So that needs to be picked up on the side of Ultra. Once again, I'm looking at the Cammy versus Havoc battle here. Who's going to be the playmaker to make plays?
Yeah, without question, all going to come down to those two players in specific. As we mentioned, Havoc really doing a great job last time around, but so far, in regards to stage 5, Ultra have been so good in search and destroy. They've already won a standoff. It was a 6-1 victory over the Surge. And really, in search and destroy so far, in their 3 victories, they've not allowed a single team to win more than 3 rounds versus them. So again, just excellent so far in stage 5. We'll see how they fare off now against the Mutineers. As here we go. Toronto up 1-0, and they will be starting off on the defensive end. Mutineers getting already into the action as Cammy taking the head of Awakening to start, as Neptune will be there to punch in the digits.
Yeah, super aggressive A plant from the Florida Mutineers coming in. If you're Awakening, you can't drop there. The bomb's going to go down. You have to try to stay alive, but Sky's answers with one of his own. He's also able to spot that guy on the flank as well. But now it's 3v2 as Insight picks up that kill. Neptune finds the kill as well. And just like that, it's a 2v1, all left up to Skies.
All left up to Caesar. He's been really, on the hunt for Bance for the majority of this time. He realizes, hey, the defuse could very well come in at a certain moment. Just trying to play the time. Bance went for the defuse. He drops, and now it's all into Cammy, who's also going for the defuse. Can Skies get here in time? Rounds the corner, and you bet he will. A huge start coming through from Skies. Plays the flank early and comes up clutch toward the stretch. A big round to start for Cesar Bueno.
Just such a great start right there from Skies. And even when he picks up that kill on Bance, you see that he still stayed in that same position. He wanted to spot that another player in Cammy. And once he does that, he just gets out. Hits it with the full wrap. He knows eventually he has to hop the bomb. Immediately checks it and then closes out the round for Florida. Even though they did end up getting first blood at that round, Skies clutches up and Florida take the round.
Yeah, that's a great sight to see. If you are a Mutineers fan, as we referenced this, when it comes down to the matches like this start, it is all about team consistency. It's about really your lineup in total trying to perform. Because once you get in these massive games, it's not always relying on 1 to 2 players. So seeing Skies in this search and destroy, continue to elevate his game is great to see. As that yet again, another early battle, as you mentioned, toward the back alley, specifically in gas. As Havoc is going to shut down Cleanex to start. So with that Ultra on the attack, a man down. Insight will get a little bit of information, knowing that, hey, you have a few players still back there, still hiding out. The trade will come in. Insight still alive. Dance drops, and now it's all for Cammy. Big spot where he spots 2, and now Insight, granted, has a wonderful KD, but in a 1 versus 4 situation, I think we can give him some slack, stud. Not looking all that likely. Gets shut down in the boulevard, and his body will hit the pavement. It is the Mutineers now seeing 2-0.
Looking good, man, so far. Once again, man, looking at Havoc, the playmaker, opening up with that first lug in towards back alley was such a huge kill because Cleanex, he was waiting for it. He was waiting for it, but Havoc still winning that one-on-one engagement was so huge on the side of Florida because then you force Toronto to completely drop their setup. Someone has to pick up the flank. This guy can push it at any given time, and that's what right there eventually costs the Ultra in that round. Florida walk away with it. This is clean, man. So far, Sky's 4-0, working towards some streaks.
Much like the fight we highlighted at the start of this series. Number 1 versus number 2 in KD in Stage 5. Insight and Skies continue to battle throughout. And Skies actually does reposition, puts a few bullets in the backside of Cammy, but is not able to finish it. Now, he doesn't have just 1 player, but he's got 2 players to deal with on the flank. 1 does make it toward top wood. And such great plays coming in once more from Skies, starting things off 5-0, tagging up Cammy, at the very least getting information for his team, as Awakening will be there for the assist. And now for 2 rounds straight, it's going to be Insight left in a 1v4. 20 seconds, and this one, most likely, is going to be him waving the white flag toward the backside of OpTic Van. And we would love to see a nice little highlight similar, but not going to most likely go that way. Can Skies make it 6 in a row? And you bet he will. What a start for him, as it is 3 up and 3 down. Clean S&D so far.
Florida's just making this look easy, man. Their aggression right now is what's really hurting Toronto because that's another fast A plant that went in. Havoc opens up with another first blood, and then immediately just get the bomb down. You let Skies work around towards the flank. He almost got some really bad timing when he was trying to pick up both of those players, but positioned himself perfectly, and now sitting at 6-0, 1 away from picking up some early streaks into this game.
Well, we're looking at 2 and 6 combined. Both Cammy and Insight, and they're at 1.9 and a 2 KD so far in Stage 5. No team has yet to get more than 3 rounds versus them in Stage 5 as well, and Mutineers responded early with 3 quick ones, catching Ultra off guard. More slow and steady. Here coming into round 4, a much-needed one for the Ultra to take, and now on the attack. They've done a good job to set up shop. They've destroyed the trophies, laid down their own. But yet, no blood has been shed to start. Keep in mind, Cammy toward the outside, still watching a few outer positions. Could turn that into a flank. As Insight watches over Bance on the plant, we'll see what the retake can look like. Again, all 4 players up for either side, as now it's time for the retake out of the Mutineers.
Yeah, so 40-40, you have 2 players who are playing the bomb, but Florida did try to focus these players who are watching the flank. Awakening 5-1, but Cleanex is able to even up the numbers, make it at 3 apiece, as he does find the second as well onto Awakening. So now it's all left up to Skies and Neptune with 20 seconds left. They have to try to push through this backside. It's not going to be an easy task to get done, but Skies, you see, he's thinking big picture. He knows that he's 6-0. He knows that this is a crucial round here if he can try to find a kill, but it's all about staying alive and trying to get these streaks going into the later rounds.
He pulls out the pistol. Vance gonna catch Skies,
Run!
Catch him on the heels, try to stay alive, intact those streaks, but unfortunately, despite trotting to grandmother's house, he is gonna be taken, or he could escape, but still, a much needed round if you are Toronto Ultra, and this time it's Cleanex who really gets the job done toward the backside, just allows for that flank to be a non-option, and with that, you single out 2 players, you're probably imagining where the other 2 are going to come from. Just well played out of the Ultra, specifically there from Cleanex. As that very well could lead Ultra in toward this game, as they finally showed up, put a round on the board after 4. Now they find themselves on the defense, as it will be Mutineers attacking early over at A. Some pixels spotted, but nothing yet to land. Here comes the utility. Havoc could strike, and there he is, finding the first, but inside of the box, it is Bance. Nice trade to start. Neptune in Awakening. Maybe look to lead the charge over at B.
Yeah, Neptune actually has snuck his way through. There's going to be a player that's camping in towards top. Grandma is expecting this. Obviously, Insight with the sound cue. He's going to know that there's going to be a player nearby. All he has to try to do is just stay alive in this situation, because his teammates are still causing some problems at this A bomb, as Skies is able to pick up one. They know the positioning of Bance. Now it's all about locating Insight, and once they do that, eventually you have to start working this bomb plant, and that's a huge one-on-one from Neptune. Basically going to close out the round in Florida, taking their time. They start off the round once again with the aggressive push towards A. So far, Ultra have not had the answer for it. Another first blood coming in from Havoc. Even though it was a trade, they just let the game, the round develop, and then eventually Neptune makes that play with the bomb, finds one. Then it's a 3v1, man. Florida, they're playing some great teamwork search and destroy right now.
Yeah, I mean, they just look so well coordinated, Stud. As you mentioned, like, Havoc goes in, happy to sacrifice his life to set up his teammates, and then from there, he knows that by playing that aggressive style, it's only going to set up his teammates for the pinch, for the push. And well replied from the Mutineers. They now find themselves up 4-1. And it will be a quick plant for the Ultra to start this one off over at A. With that, the fastest plant that we've seen so far on standoff. With that only sets up how the retake will begin to form. You've got 3 players really around a top wood position. As it's Awakening to answer first, they're on to Bance. Headshots to plenty. How can this Ultra 3 look to hold things up? Awakening looking for the second. AR shots exchanged. Cammy and Insight with the nice little crossfire. Does Havoc run into his line of sight? He does indeed, but Havoc did take down Insight to start, but it's Cammy for 2, Kleenex on the other, and now it's all up to Neptune in a 1 versus 2. Having to try to defend things, but it's Toronto answering back. A much-needed round, and they get the job done, the 3v4.
Just a great job right there from the Ultra. Nice, quick A-bomb plant. Obviously, Florida, they've been getting a lot of success with it, so we might as well try it as well. And it works out for them as well. As Cammy, he took his time on the flank, and he knows if he gives that up, he's probably going to get some bad COD timing, because Havoc, he's always going to be trying to approach that side of the map and just waits for it, plays it super patient, finds eventually that kill onto Havoc, then the 2-piece onto Awakening, which is the play of that round right there. Florida still up 4-2, though, back on the offense.
Quick little dash into the courtyard. As Kleenex did take down his own teammate. Bance drops, and now it's all on to Insight. Just his second kill of this S&D. How about this matchup? AR versus AR. Keep in mind, Awakening, I believe, does have a Krig in the back pocket. It does also slide that bomb back there as well. We've got a lot of time to work with here, Stud. A good 50 seconds for both of these players to reposition, specifically for Awakening, to get confident on a bomb site.
He's slowly starting to approach this back alley. And Insight, he hasn't moved one bit. He knows the clock is starting to tick down. Eventually, a bomb plant has to come in, but Awakening, he's not trying to leave any openings. He wants to check every single corner. He knows that Insight is going to be taking his time. Insight, I think he's going to be able to hear him as he's rotating that bomb over towards A. So yeah, he was able to hear him. Going to check this B real quick, and it's only a matter of time before he's able to pick up this kill. Such a great play from Insight. Just taking his time, making sure that he was forcing Awakening to plant that bomb. If you're Awakening in that situation, it's difficult in the 1v1 to plant it because you don't know what the timing is. The guy can be anywhere, but Insight plays it perfectly, uses that Astro headset to the best of his ability, and is able to clutch up that round, keep the Ultra in this one.
Hey, you think he cranked it a little bit? I think he did. No?
Yeah, definitely it's cranked. If you're one of the, you know what's crazy is that, like, when you're a teammate that's dead, like, if you're dropped in the round, your job at that point is to completely mute your teammates and go 100% on the audio. So someone definitely probably assisted there on that round.
Someone's going to invest in some hearing aids as time goes on, because that may be the wear and tear that goes into being a Call of Duty professional, but still, just well read from Insight. Who knows? Maybe some teammate communication. Regardless, he plays it well. He is known as, the best search destroy player in terms of KD that we have had. Despite having more of a slower game, he's able to handle business. Now Ultra within 1, and speaking of 1, Skies for the early pick. Dropping once more that first blood, 9-3 so far for Skies. But to clear things out for his teammates is that bomb. Now looks to be made up toward A, but it's Insight and Bance with a quick reply. They're able to drop 2. They also, in that gunfight exchange, grab the man advantage. Cheeky spot for Awakening underneath the tractor. Took him a while to bend down because he's 7'8", but he's able to do it anyway. Now to the 2 versus 2. They're trapped. They're somewhat trapped in this position. Insight falls. And now it's in once more to a good old 1 versus 1. Cleanex versus Havoc. 15 seconds, and Cleanex is somewhat sure of where his position is. He reads him. He finds him. Back-to-back 1v1s now give Ultra a 4-4 scoreline.
That was a great round from the Ultra. Even with them getting first blooded, I think the biggest play of the round right there was just Bance. The fact that he stood alive behind that HyDra when 2 players from Florida were challenging him, and then eventually picks up a kill before he drops, that was the play right there that eventually allowed for his teammates to even up the numbers. Obviously in a 1v1, those are the moments that Havoc lives for, but unfortunately some bad COD timing there. Cleanex was able to walk away with this. So tied at 4 apiece. Florida back on the offense. So far, their aggressive push has been working out for them. But this time, they're going to switch it up and be a little bit more aggressive in towards this middle courtyard, as that's going to be 3 players from the Ultra at that A-bomb.
Last time around in this courtyard area, I mean, it was an all-out bloodbath. This time, not at all the case. Quiet, maybe a little bit too quiet. Neptune will enjoy a nice early entrance toward the market. Unfortunately, they're closed. Closed on Fridays. Insight not happy about it. Lays down a few early shots. You see the nades trying to take him out from this position, but he is still holding strong. Meanwhile, because of the distraction, this is somewhat causing it. Allows for the plant over at B. Cammy tries to initialize the fight, but he's got nothing really to work off of. Spots the head of Havoc, is able to drop him toward the back alley, and knows where Neptune is hiding for the most part. Insight from the back, trying to watch over him. Cammy nearly for the turn on, but it's Neptune who comes away with 2 and also puts some shots into the third. Neptune, a man on fire. A wonderful, wonderfully played round. Sets up his team for success as Florida now sit at 5.
Man, that has to be so annoying if you're inside. You're shooting at Neptune and Havoc, who are just eating bullets, sliding away, playing their life beautifully. It was some great teamwork to initiate the round when we saw Cammy pick up that kill, but Neptune answers beautifully, puts himself in the corner, is able to find one, and then eventually the second. 1v3 for Mr. Bance is not going to be an easy task to get done, so Florida are able to walk away with the round, man. Skies having himself a game, 11-4 on a 2 spree. With Toronto back on the offense, Cammy switching to that self. This is going to work out beautifully, as he is going to find the first blood this time around.
Good mind that A-bomb site. That's going to be totally clear. So Vance says, you know what? Hey, might as well plant this bad boy down. It's been weighing me down a decent amount. Lays down the objective, and once more, we find ourselves in a spot around toward the back alley. As Neptune drops, a man down are the Mutineers. Can the ARs go big for Florida and close this one out, or are we headed toward a round 11? Insight with the information, taking down Skies. Now it's all up to Awakening in what would be a 1 versus 3 clutch. He's only got 15 seconds left to work with. He has got to get a lot of work done in a short amount of time, and that is not going to be the case. Round 11, here we come.
Round 11 indeed. Right there was just the Ultra, once again, just spreading that map. They do a good job of just causing problems in towards back alley. Eventually sneak planting that bomb. Obviously, Cammy opened up with that first one was so huge because it slows down the pressure from Florida. They thought that they were going to be able to once again take control of wood, but not this time around, as Ultra are going to force to round 11. This time they are going to be on the offense. You have to keep track of number 7 because he's been their guy to consistently be hitting this back alley, which is going to be Havoc. He's going to be playing a little slow. Cleanex once again in that position to pick up that flank.
And it's no surprise, as we mentioned, some very fast rounds, very methodical ones. Round 11 always there's a little bit of a different pace to it, a different feeling. It is the Ultra, like we mentioned, on the attack. They are going to have to initiate the contact. While Havoc is still in that back alley, he's playing more cautious this time around. As we mentioned, down 0-1 are the Mutineers. Skies, with how great he's playing, can he find that 12th kill? Can he find yet another first blood? Or is he going to be made quick work of as he gets dropped low to HP? And with that positioning, it's now going to advance Bance toward the bomb. Here comes the attack. Spots the head of Neptune. Ants with information. Gives the call out to Kleenex. Can he make it inside a square first? But no. Meanwhile, Awakening in the midst of fire, going back and forth. He takes one down from long range. And now it's into the 2 versus 3. Cammy, his information is known. And Awakening does know where both players are. Bance decides to lay down the bomb. And Awakening is here. Now it all comes down to Cammy. 1v2. He gets dropped. And it will be the Mutineers answering here in the round 11. A hard point that went back and forth, and now a search and destroy that sees some overtime. Awakening answers the call, and Florida have made this a series.
And that's exactly what Florida needs to do. They needed to come out and just basically mimic the time that they played them last time and come out and win that search and destroy. It wasn't as clean as it was before, but still getting the job done, tying this series up at 1 apiece is where they want to be. Now, that was just a great S&D from both teams, man. Like, obviously, Florida starting off hot. They went up 4-1. Toronto slowly answering back with the clutch ability, winning those huge one-on-one engagements towards the ending rounds. But still, I felt like Florida was still in control of that entire game. They had a majority of those first bloods. It just came down to how they wanted to play certain numbered situations. Like, when they got 2-piece by Cammy on the flank, they're not expecting that guy to be in that position. But that's the round. That's one of those rounds that they weren't expecting. But Florida, they get the job done here. Tied up at 1 apiece, exactly what they want.
Yeah, absolutely. They get what they have to, like we said, considering that raid hardpoint that sits at that game 4. If they can get to a game 4, how great that could be for this team when they bought themselves a ticket to that map and mode. And as you mentioned coming into it, we talked a lot about Cammy. We talked about him. You know, could he be the difference maker in this S&D as he was shut down a lot, does not have a great performance, and when it comes down to this search and destroy, the one guy who maybe didn't play the best for his team, but without a doubt had one of the flashiest rounds is going to be Neptune for our U.S. Army tactical play. Oh boy, he was causing some problems. That he was giving some headaches toward those Ultra Boys.
Yeah, I'm telling you, if you're inside in this situation, you're dodging nades. You got Havoc and Neptune just sliding across your screen. You got to be frustrated. And eventually, Cammy gets into the play. The bomb is planted though. So at the beginning of this round, Ultra do a great job with the team shots. Obviously, Insight's still in that top window. He's going to get Havoc a little weak and is able to get that kill. But then it's all on Neptune in this play. Across the map, Skies is able to find one, but Neptune eventually gets that trade, turns around, knows the information that Insight is behind him, and gets that huge 2-piece. The guy was sliding across Delhi the entire time, probably grabbing a bag of chips, a bag of peanuts, and he's able to walk away with 2 kills to close it out, man. Just a great play from Neptune.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like I said, grabs his lunch and also grabs the kill, secures the round, and from there, it is the Florida Mutineers answering back in the search and destroy. This one has become a great series. Who will take the advantage, though, is the question, as it is Garrison control up after this.
Seany, the official eyewear for the CDL. Armor your eyes with Seany Blocks blue light protection glasses by visiting seany.com/gaming. Scuff, the official controller of the Call of Duty League. Call of Duty League is brought to you by T-Mobile. T-Mobile is the shot caller in 5G. Lead the game from the lobby to the last push with America's largest, fastest, and now most reliable 5G network.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back as it's time to talk some Toronto Ultra, specifically in this upcoming mode. I mean, this team, it felt like at one point they had won like, I don't know, 57 of these in a row, just absolutely dominant. Yeah. And you can see that they have been trending upward ever since.
Man, when you look at these stats, obviously in the beginning, people are still trying to figure out control, but I feel like Ultra were that team that figured it out before anyone else, because their win spree was insane. They just started coming out and dominating. You could just see it from stage to stage. They're only getting better. And right now, it's the best they've looked at. They're going into a map that they're 11-4, 1.22 KD overall for the team. This is going to be what they were banking for. To get to this game mode, obviously have the series at least at a 2-0, but tied 1-1, they're not too mad about that, but they're still really confident going into this one.
I'd say they're very confident, considering they have a 1.22 KD so far in Stage 5, and also considering that nobody has taken a round off of them yet in Stage 5 control. Just absolutely nutty stats when we talk about those Ultra boys. But folks, on topic with the control, it is just moments away. Before we get into it, a quick word from our sponsor.
We made USAA insurance for renters who make the most of their space and money. That's why we make it easy to cover the stuff you love for as little as 33 cents a day. USAA, what you're made of, we're made for.
Alrighty, stud, let's go and talk a little bit more about the control, but specifically for the Mutineers. And as you notice, when it comes down to those game modes, we kind of wipe those away for the most part, focus specifically on that third one. Control, as we labeled it, great for the Ultra, but all things considered, Mutineers, we talked about them being a very consistent team. You know, they kind of reign around the middle to a little bit higher than average scoreline. Control, not exactly the same. I think they sit around the 7th, 8th spot right now in the CDL at a 15-18 record.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy matchup, man. You're going up against Ultra, who at least they're really confident in this mode. So if you're Florida, you need to come out and show some success on this one. You need to come out and at least win your defenses, because we know how good Toronto are when they're able to cap that early B point. They do such a good job at just making the opposite team spread on their setups, spread on their breaks. Yeah. They have a player that's always camping B, but they're putting a lot of pressure over there towards A. So that push, or at least when they're trying to break initially, it's not going to be easy because players are going to be all over the map. So that's what they need to try to control here. And I'm looking at the SMGs to really set that tone. Neptune and Havoc need to run around, win their one-on-one engagements, and just play their life, being annoying and making sure that they're staying alive.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, do you look at the ARs? Do you look at the SMGs here for the Mutineers? And obviously makes perfect sense, as we discussed, a map like Garrison, given those two players, their pedigree, we'll see what they can do to try to hold off Ultra. Like as we mentioned, what has been a flawless performance so far in Stage 5. Mutineers were able to stun them in that Search Destroy, give them their first loss here in this season. Can they do it as well in Control? Is it Havoc winning the early first blood, but more specifically, it is the Ultra winning the majority of the fights, as it's Awakening, the farthest pushed up player, the final player, for it is in fact going to be a full wipe off the board and a reset from the Mutineers. A great reply if you are a fan of Toronto, getting the job done on defense and shutting down any plans that the Mutineers had to start.
This is such a great start from Ultra, man. They're so annoying. Like, we know that Bance is going to come from underground, but he's still able to find that kill. And he hasn't died since, man. Just being a nuisance in this base of the players on the side of Florida. Not able to leave your base. Bance is doing it with both weapons. AK-74U, Craig, the guy is on point right now, having himself a game. I'm pretty sure that Florida haven't even been close to touching at least one of these points. So, Ultra, they're coming out in this very first round. Until I say that, they touch it now. But they're looking really good to start this game.
Bance just has to stop it. Really, I mean, he's going to flunk again? Is he actually going to be able to do this? Surely not. I mean, Neptune's going to spot him. There's no way, right? Okay. To be honest, I was calling that the whole way. I actually thought the Bance was literally going to make the play somehow. But finally, does get taken down after a 5-0 start. And so the Mutineers, with a moment to breathe, Havoc decides to go ahead and just jump completely over the rail, giving himself some sore shins. But 5 seconds left. You just see Florida, no progress yet at all made when it comes down to these ticks. I mean, they have an inch to work with and what, 3.4 on the clock. Just a very well-structured round here out of Toronto. as the Mutineers are hanging on every single bit they can, but as Havoc drops inside of the point, that will seal it. A solid and great defensive start there from Toronto.
That was just way too good from Ultra, man. They did a great job on that round, just picking up a couple kills. Like I said, Bance just being a nuisance in their base. But the entire round, they held top green, and that's something that you usually don't see. You like to see teammates wrap back in towards light, probably affect that trade a little bit, but they just held top green because they know that's the power position. They cannot give that up and allow these players to try to sneak through to get towards A. And Ultra, they were just in complete control that entire first round and walk away with the defense.
I think if we didn't already understand it, Stud, I think we really do. There's a reason why this team is 9-0 right now in round count so far throughout this stage. They're terrifying.
That was way too easy for Ultra right there.
It was way too easy. We'll see how the Mutineers reply again now in the more favorable side. Skies, okay, was on a tank. Mansa says, absolutely not! 10-3 does drop, but his presence is felt. Mutineers just happy to get him off the board for now. But take a look at Cammy. Sneaking his way in toward top green. Is the nade going to take him away? It will. Back and forth trades as the Mutineers look to hold off the early headbutt coming out of Ultra. Havoc having a great start to this game as well. Sits at 7-4. We talked about the S&Gs. What kind of impact can they make? Still playing solid as Neptune. It's a shot to remember. That is one that you sit up in your chair a little bit different afterwards. You're like, okay, Neptune just took me down like that. All right, I got to change things up a little bit. The Mutineers holding well, 30 seconds left, and Toronto now put in a position where they have to get a few down in a row. Bance doing exactly that, now making his way over at that A zone.
And this might be the opening that they need because they're going to have 2 players on this 8 point, so this is going to allow Bance to start pushing up, be a little bit more of a free bird on the map, and try to set up for a couple spawn kills. As the first tick is going to come in towards A, you see everybody on the side of Florida just trying to set up for everyone coming off spawn, but they're just taking their time. They're allowing their teammates just get some uncontested time at this 8 point. Bance still picking up kills. Insight finds a second as well. So now this is going to allow for them to get out of their base. And this is a great job from Ultra. Some early progression on towards that 8 point is going to open up B now for them.
Yeah, and just with Cammy being in this spot as well, when you're pretty much forcing the Florida Mutineers to take multiple spots, multiple angles, it's a matter of they're going to come out of green. Are they forcing the attention at B as well? A number of different things to utter, but if you're the Mutineers, the communication has to be on point as Cammy continues to reign into the top green. Time stopped at 16 seconds as a big battle happening at that B zone. So while Cammy drops toward top green, if you are the Toronto Ultra, you will take that exchange. Now 2 ticks through, stacking the point with 3 players. The Mutineers are going to bend to give this one up. So a minute added for Toronto. Life count somewhat even. We'll see if Cammy can once more cause some problems toward top green. Finally gets dealt with. But he has just been a terror so far in this second round. As with a minute left, the early push from Toronto does get halted.
And that was great work from Havoc right there. Just staying alive in that back tank, waiting for his teammates to come off spawn, which eventually allowed them to shut down that first push coming in from Ultra. So with 45 seconds left, Ultra have like 1 to 2 good pushes on this. They didn't allow a clean 4 down. And with Havoc picking up that kill, still keeping the push on the side of the Ultra staggered. And the time is starting to wind down. They have to try to make a play here. With 30 seconds left, they're only going to have one more good push at this.
We'll see how they bend to make that push. Oftentimes comes down to that first engagement, and Skies is able to win it. Securing that top green position, so one angle completely locked down. Players trying to make their way in from the spawn. That's going to be 2 from Neptune, awakening with the 3rd. And just like that, Ultra in the backside of their base, spawning up with questions. Is Bance not going to be able to get to that point in time, as it will be the Florida Mutineers giving the Ultra their very first round loss of Stage 5. Obviously, the job far from over, but you'll at least take the little victories like that, as no team is yet to do it, but just such well-played execution in the later stages of that round. Again, a minute and 15. What, you got 2, maybe 3 good pushes from Toronto, and the Mutineers are able to handle it. This roster just continues to dig their heels.
They're just showing improvements every single time we watch them play, man. And I feel like right now, at least watching Florida so far throughout Stage 5, this is the best they've looked. Everyone is looking real confident. Havoc is feeling real freaky, real greasy on the map. And Neptune is really starting to come into his form now. but able to take that defensive round is exactly what they need to do. They just need to respond with some progression on one of these points on the offense, because Ultra, they were able to take that full B and get one tick on towards A, so they're going to be up 4 segments right now.
Is it going to be the Bance show again? Is it going to be the Bance show again? It very well might. 17 and 8, taking over in these defensive rounds, and he's not slowing down anytime soon. Now a 4 spree. Can he make it 5? It's a heat check. It is a heat check from Benjamin Bance, as that Krig is about to explode. My goodness, he is holding the line, and the Mutineers, as we mentioned, just frustratingly, time after time, getting put in their base, but could streaks maybe be a potential, as that's now going to be his 5th kill in a row. How great could streaks be as he just continues to chop away at the heels? He's chop blocking them from spawn. And with 25 seconds left, Florida, you've got to get your head in the game. Channel, your inner Trevor Bolton as Cammy now takes down 2, nearly a 3rd as well. Toronto cannot be stopped. And this is just an all-out onslaught once more, stud. This is worse than the first round.
Yeah, this is way worse than the first round, man. Florida have not been able to get out of their base this entire time, man. Ultra's pressure on the map, their team shots, their crossfires are all set up properly. Bance is going to end the round on a 6 spree, 1 away from picking up some early streaks into that next round. And just, wow, man, Ultra, they are destroying on their defenses, not allowing Florida anything.
Okay, well, again, I thought that first round was deadly. Now we get into the 3rd one, and it's just like, all right, let's do this.
Why?
How do you reply back if you're Florida after? I mean, granted, you are going to be on defense. Like we said, they did take the first round. It's not as if it's 2-0 or anything like that. It's 2-1. Mutineers. We'll see what they can fire back with. But again, as we mentioned, big talking point coming into this 4th round, could be the final round, is going to be that streak progression from Bance. He sits on 6 in a row, and with Kleenex completely clearing the way toward lights, is going to allow for them a much easier time at that B zone. Nobody from the Mutineers has even really got a chance to take a look at the B zone. And they're just going to continue to earn this. So off of really just overall objective play and a free B point, that's going to be Bance earning the artillery barrage, and a cruise missile could be coming quite soon as well. 2 minutes and 11 seconds on the clock. Oh, decides to call the streak. There's somebody right in front of you. Put the iPad away. There is no time for games, even though we're in the middle of one. 2-1. The type of trade situation is Neptune finds 2, Skies finds the 3rd, and that streak, well, it's nice. It looks pretty. It really doesn't accomplish a lot.
Yeah, that was just horrible streak usage right there. Obviously, Bance, he wanted to use it when his teammates had top green control, but then that player just sneaks around the corner, kills him mid-streak, so he's not able to pick up that cruise, and then that player in Havoc walks in towards top green, eliminates both of those players in that position. So it's basically an ultra streak, came and gone, and did not do anything on the map. So now they have to try to win this offense without it. And Florida, they're doing a great response of just holding so far. They did it the very first time on defense, held for about 1 minute and 20 seconds. They have to try to get it done again.
It's good early work. Neptune being so much of an issue. Kleenex. Issue can be an issue, as we all know quite well. Takes him down, and so with that, the SMGs, the 74Us, now toward the backside of bricks. Kleenex finally gets dropped after going on a nice little spree, but the presence toward the flank has not been halted as of yet. Cammy's still here, but his teammates are still off of spawn. See what Cam Man can do. Okay, takes down Neptune. Does he have a 3rd one prepared for us? Tossing out the nade, and despite being the only player pushed up, Cammy has somehow managed to stay alive. You could argue in the most important moment, he finally does get dropped, and now that will set up Awakening. Try to clear the point, doing so well to start. And he will find Bance looking a totally different direction. Now 30 seconds left. Toronto, one last push. That's going to be prepared. Are we going to see it round 5, or can Toronto finally break on in? Keeping in mind they still have another streak to work with. And Cammy once more sits toward the backside. Backside of bricks. We're going to pepper up a few players in Awakening. Now on 5 in a row. Whether it's inside of the point or outside of the point, it doesn't seem to matter. He's picking up kills left, right, and center. And with that, Ultra will be seeing their first round 5 and what feels like a long time. Florida coming up big.
Just another 1 minute and 30-second hold from Florida. And I thought that when Cammy snuck his way into bricks, found those 2 kills, it would allow his teammates to jump out of top green. But I guess the comms are a little different. They decided to go through the middle of the map, try to get through bricks as well. So the pitch wasn't there. I felt like if they would have flooded out of top green, they could have potentially had the stack going and then try to build towards some streaks to try to close that out. But Florida, they answer back. They win another defense. The only thing that's really scary now is that they have to go into another offense. And the way that Ultra have been looking so far, they have not allowed Florida to get pushed up basically past that 50-yard line. They cannot get out of their spawn. Hopefully this time it's a little bit different.
Oh man, I was thinking for a moment, I thought Awakening was on the spree, but I guess he did get picked off just toward the end. How great that would be if you had Awakening sitting on 5, maybe 6 in a row coming into this round. But as you very correctly labeled it, Stud, it has been all-out dominant so far on the defensive side for Toronto as they wipe away 4 players in 4 seconds. 22 and 14 sits Bance. Does finally get picked apart. It's probably his 3rd time he's died on a defensive round. But again, it's the teammates to pick up now 3 straight, just continuing to be clinical are the Ultra. And you see, they're already making their way up toward the enemy base. You got 2 players hanging out in artillery. Kleenex is basically in their spawn. And with that, that forces the Mutineers to have to turn around. They finally get 1, but it just seems like every time, Stud, that the Mutineers find a pick, it's Ultra to greet them with 2, if not 3 players right back.
Yeah, also they just have a perfect setup.
What is
When
happening?
one player is dying on one of the lanes, they are just picking up every single kill. This has to be the most dominant performance on the defensive side in control that we have seen all year, man. They have not allowed Florida, once again, to get past that 50-yard line, not even being able to get 1 segment on either one of these points, man. Ultra, they just came out and dominated on the defensive end in this map.
Oh, an insight for just good measure says, hey, you know what? I actually have a streak. Might as well call that one out. But Mutineers hanging on by a thread. 2.4 seconds on the clock. Awakening trying to stay alive. As he drops, Insight finally says, okay, time to bring this bad boy out. We'll see how much damage it can do. Mutineers start to fall, and with that, the explosives telling the tale of how these defensive rounds have gone for Toronto. I mean, what? So we're going to look back at the highlights, of this, and we're going to be like, okay, awesome, Toronto, what, that was a 3-0? Oh, no, it went to round 5, and they were doing that? They were. It was chaotic. It was crazy. How did Cammy do this, by the way? What is that? What is that?
I'm telling you, when you're playing with that much confidence, they just dominate him on defense. Like, they know our initial break is going to work every single time. We get a clean 4 dead, they're basically screwed. And that's exactly what happened that entire map. I understand that Florida, they responded well with their great defensive holds, but Ultra, that was dominance, man. You see it right there, 4-0 control throughout stage 5, and their stats are only going to continue to get better if they continue to see wins like that.
That very well may be the most terrifying, close game of control that I have ever seen.
Yeah.
So like I said, the numbers, 25 and 16 from Cammy, 24 and 17 from Bance, the entire team, going positive outside of Kleenex, who goes -3. Like we said, just on the defensive side, you do not want to see these Ultra boys. That is without question. But at the same time, I mean, are you impressed despite getting dominated the defenses from the Mutineers?
Yeah, I'm definitely still impressed. They haven't really seen a lot of success in this game. Also, taking 2 rounds off of probably the best team that we have in control, you gotta be feeling really good about that. Minute 30 holds on defense, especially in a map like Garrison, aren't easy to do when you're going up against a team like Ultra.
Without a doubt. Well, it is the Toronto Ultra replying back in another respawn. Can they make it 3 for 3? Or can the Mutineers answer back and send us to a Game 5? Find out after this. Alrighty, folks, welcome back. My goodness, it has been a crazy series, a crazy start to day 2 of the Seattle Surge's home series, but we got to talk some Florida Mutineers. I mean, that's so far, as we mentioned, this team, they've been great. They've been solid. Again, they started off 3-0.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about, you know, their ability in hardpoint, how great that has been, but you can just see the progress. Stage 4 to stage 5.
Jeez.
Look at those numbers in hardpoint.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were undefeated in hardpoint going into today. They obviously lose that map number 1, but still, look at these stats. Number 1 from Neptune, number 2 from Skies. Like, that's insane, man. Those guys are the dynamic duo in this hardpoint game up for this team. And I'm going to be looking at those guys to go huge because they're going into a map in Raid where they have yet to lose it on the year. They're sitting at 6-0, so this has been their backbone. This has been their go-to hardpoint to force them deeper into series. So I'm excited to see them play here, but they're going up against a Toronto team who are not too bad at it as well. Even though they're sitting at a record at 8-9, they started off the year not being really good at that map. But ever since then, they have been slowly progressing, trying to get that record back to that 500 mark.
And I want to ask you too, like, you know, from what you've seen out of the Mutineers, like, what do you think has made them so solid at a map like Raid? Because we've seen, you know, we have the number of different teams that kind of prefer, of course, that map with how great that it is, but you don't really see too many teams be kind of undefeated on a map like this just because so many teams are well cultivated in this particular space. But what do you think has been the difference maker for Mutineers? What do you like most about this team?
So what I like for Florida, at least on this Raid hardpoint, is their P1. The way that they come out off the initial break, they get a couple kills, they hold it down basically to a T. But then also when they get later into the games, it's all on Neptune being the route man. Like, this guy is going to be rotating early with about 25 to 30 seconds and just being there early. So he needs to try to have that performance today because, you know, players like Bands, players like CleanX, they're going to be aware of it. So it's going to be coming down to whoever's going to win those one-on-one engagements.
I believe we are having a quick little reset in the game, so apologies for that. But yeah, I mean, I'm just happy to have your insight in terms of, and no pun intended on that, but happy to hear your thoughts on what has made this Florida Mutineers roster so pesky when we talk about a map like Raid hardpoint. I mean, it's been kind of a day of first. As we mentioned, we talked about the Toronto Ultra. They've started off great in control. They finally lose their first few rounds. They lose their first search and destroy as the Mutineers were able to take that. Florida Mutineers lose their very first hardpoint. So I mean, it's like I said, man, I mean, while stats are obviously important, and we love ourselves some stats, like I said, you can kind of, I don't want to say throw them out, but they haven't exactly been the most accurate when it comes down to this series because of how excellent both of these teams are. They are fighting, as we mentioned, for that first seed here in Group B. Taking a look at our Game 1 stats, obviously it was a Garrison hardpoint, and it was Vance leading the way. He has taken over in the respawns, 31-23, also leading in hill time. He's got his eyes closed, stud, and that terrifies me.
Yeah, it definitely should, man. The guy is he just knows what to do with the SMG, how to play so annoying, how to pick up these easy kills on the map, and that's just something that he's just developed in his career. He used to be one of the best OBJ players in the game, but now he's transitioning. He knows that, hey, I can't just do the OBJ work. I have to be able to get my kills, and Vance is really finding a nice even ground to do both the OBJ and pick him up, man. He's been playing so consistent after that Stage 2 major. I remember he even won the player of the stage. Like, the guy has just been on point for this Ultra roster.
And it's such a great story as well, because I remember it was like in the middle of Stage 2, at the end of Stage 1, I think he was texting his fiance, and he was like, you know, I may have to retire. Like, I may have to kind of hang up the sticks and, you know, kind of call it a day, bench myself for the Toronto Ultra team. And what a turnaround that they have ever since then. As we mentioned, the addition of Insight, what he's brought to this team. We've questioned their consistency. We've questioned whether or not they can remain a top team, and they have answered the call every single time. They find themselves up 2-1 in a major series. Havoc trying to be the route man to start, and as we said, the rookie is able to read him.
Yeah, and Ultra doing a great job of just getting a good chunk of time off of this P. And Awakening is actually going to win an insane gunfight onto CleanX. So that might be able to open up middle map, but that's going to be 4. Ultra just wiped the kill feed right there. So now Ultra have to start thinking about that rotation, and that's exactly what Florida is thinking as well. They're going to have 2 players approaching through that water side, 2 players trying to approach to the middle of the map, because they have to try to win this rotation. You cannot allow Ultra to chain that P1 to P2, because then the game will get out of hand way too early.
Oh, and a crazy little fight there. So Neptune takes down Insight. Meanwhile, it's Havoc who also takes down Neptune. So an unfortunate team kill, but it is still 3 strong the backside of Top Cubby, as it's Vance and Cammy who are both there to read it. However, in the front side of the kitchen, it is the Mutineers who are getting down. Planning a new recipe, potentially, but Mutineers have just been shut down. Really, that's really their only time. The early first few seconds inside of kitchen have all they've been able to reply with. And on cue, Vance starting off quite well. Now 5-1, make it 6-1, as it is a unbelievable start to this game for the Toronto Ultra. The Mutineers just trying to break on in, having to have some sort of words, but not at all. It's complete silence at this time as Cleanix storms on through, takes 2 with him. And my word, only 6 points coming into what will be an interesting rotation at Garage. Cammy takes down 2 for good measure, so there you have it. What? It's gonna be like, what, 95-6? Okay, they'll go and hop out of the hill. 90-6 in this hard point, and they've also beat them on the rotation as well. You could not ask for a better start to a hard point from Toronto.
Yeah, this is one of them classic beat downs right now. Ultra are making this look way too easy. They were able to chain that P1 to P2 and now win the rotation gunfights over here towards P3. So the lead is just going to continue to grow. Florida need to stop the bleeding. They need to try to break into this and not allow Ultra to completely run away with this. But the way that they are playing right now, Ultra is not messing around as Cleanix does find 3. Inside eventually finds the 4th, and now you see them straight off the rotation. This has been perfect hardpoint from the Ultra so far.
Oh my goodness. What is going to be 150-6 after the first 3 hardpoints. This feels like a Garrison defensive control round. How this raid has begun. I mean, the Mutineers are drawing straws. Do you want to go first? I don't want to go first. You want to? Okay, I'll go ahead and make them. Okay, we're all dead. All right, here we go. Rotation inbound, as we said, 6 points to answer with, but they have got themselves in a nice spot when it comes down to basketball court, a much-needed hill, and that's without saying. Let's go ahead and step aside and go to the comms. Our Astro listening now with the Florida Mutineers.
They're gonna try me. They're gonna try me. Under money. Under money, nading me.
In the back, in the back,
There's two front. Stay alive. Just stay alive. Shoulder front. Be annoying.
I'm one shot.
Still front.
Yeah, we're good. Inside weak front. You front left?
Jungle.
1P5. Got one.
Nice.
So tee the fuck up.
I'm going mid. Yeah,
I'm going mid.
I'm going water.
Make sure back.
Real mid. Middle side. Left corner. Right side mid. Nice. Good shit. 2-2. We got this shit.
Vance one shot mid. Absolute mid.
One's mid pillars.
Alright, take your time. Let's go mid pillar.
Mid pillar. One shot. Absolute. He went P1. Go out of laundry. I'll tell you.
Vance the water steps.
Tell me
when you're ready. Vance the water steps.
He's top P1 left side.
He's on P5. One shot.
P5. One shot.
One's bed, one's water steps.
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm coming.
Bed one. Pick up art. I'm pitching up. I'm picking up art. I'm pitching all the way around.
Pillar, tell me.
I'm going all the way around. Nice.
Do that. Collapse.
He's beside us. I'm ignoring. Nice. Behind me. Behind me. You. I just want laundry. No, I got pinch mid.
Absolute mid.
He's on the rock. Nice. Good shit. Go in. Pump you on. Easy. MP5.
30 left on this.
Drive with Cleanix. We gotta play this. I spawn Z guys.
He'll start.
Stay up on P1.
Water
steps. I can help you. Pitch him.
One shot kitchen. One shot kitchen.
We can help here.
Absolute kitchen.
Kitchen dead. Go. We have to cut off P1.
I'm watching out.
I'm watching right. Yeah, watch out.
Here's the money. Alright, one's money.
Weak
money. Top laundry got me. Yes.
Catch on me, Vance. On the right, heady.
Push in.
Catch on me, Vance. Middle. Watch out, mid.
Mid,
P5. You need him. He's in the pillar. Close right pillar.
Go, Art. I'm gonna streak.
Okay. I'm ready to
streak. There's 2 hill, 2 mid. Oh, yeah, 1 mid, actually 1 kitchen.
All right, stud. Well, the Mutineers, they have woken up. The question, though, remains still is, did they have what it takes to bring it back? Still down by over 100 seconds. Awakening did earn some streaks. Like we said, he's starting to heat up. He's playing well. But, again, just the way that this hardpoint started, a 150 to, like, 5s type of scoreline, Ultra always going to put themselves in a better position. But, as we said, crazier things have happened before. Let's see how Florida looks to play this next hill.
Yeah, and with 25 seconds left, Ultra, they are just getting closer and closer to that finish line. It's a good chunk of time off this, and now all they have to do is focus off the rotation. And when you look at the Ultra stat line, it's not like one player is going off. They're doing this as a team. They are rotating as a team, winning these gunfights as a team. Everything is teamwork with this roster. That's why the scoreline is so huge, and the stats don't really back him up. Because Ultra right now, they're just playing so well. But off the rotation, Florida are going to be here this time around and towards Kitchen. They have to get a full 60 here to get back into this one.
A much needed hill for Florida. Not just a much needed one that you have to have. You need a full 60 just to make this one even feasible to come in toward Garage, and that is the way to start it. Taking down 4, now going to bring this one within 100 seconds. As we said, with 30 seconds on the clock, we'll see how Florida and look to try to make their way throughout the map, because it's not just about holding, it's also about trying to look forward next. And once more, they are taking down a few in stride. So with 20 seconds left, they look good to grab that. And with all 3 players from Toronto making their way through Waterside, this is a huge 1 versus 1, but it's Havoc who's able to take it. It's going to be a 2 versus 3 over at Garage. How fast can the cavalry of the Mutineers start to arrive? As this is going to have to be a hill for them, or at the very least a delay. But it's CleanX with the first, watching toward weight room. It's going to be 2. Can he make it a 3rd for good measure? Cammy's still hunting. Cammy's still searching. He and Vance making the work happen toward the back. And with that, 30 seconds left. Ultra, they can win it here.
And that was just such great work from Ultra. Cammy was that player who spawned all the way across the map towards that water side, but he cuts to the middle, ends up in Art, and completely blocks that spawn for Florida. So now they're all spawning out towards AC, and Ultra can still get the job done here. They can pick up this kill onto Awakening, but Florida, they have to keep the pressure on. Neptune picking up 2, just trying to stay alive in this game. Fortunately, he's going to drop to that nade, but they know they have to try to contest this. Not everyone can focus off the rotation. This is where you're going to see Ultra with the upper hand. You're going to have 2 players already here. CleanX is going to win that gunfight in towards the ult as well. They can still close it out if CleanX can go big by himself. And with 8 seconds left, they might be able to do it here. They might not even think about this rotation.
Yeah, just stay put. You've got the game won. Mutineers, they try to go for the rotation, and they will end up hurting themselves in the end. They thought they bought themselves enough time. The major 1v1 toward the end, as CleanX puts him in the dirt. He locks things away, and it will be a win for the Toronto Ultra. They get the job done. They go 3 for 3 in respawns, and boy, did they dominate toward, in that control. And they dominated at the start of this hard point. You got to give props. I mean, Mutineers did wake up, but starting off, down 130 points. It's never going to be an easy comeback, and it will not be today, as Toronto improves their stage 5 performance now to 4-0.
Man, Ultra, they just made that last game look easy. Keep in mind that that was a map that Florida has yet to lose in the entire year. They were 6-0 on that, and Ultra came out in the beginning of that game 136-6. Can you imagine that? You're going into your best map, you're feeling real confident, we're going to a game 5, and then the initial start is you only got 6 points after 3 hills? Like, there's no way that the players on the side of Florida were expecting that, but Ultra looking better than ever. Going to be able to go 4-0 in Stage 5. Still worried about that #1 seed, because if Dallas are able to win their match, it's all going to come down to that head-to-head between those 2 teams. But, man, Ultra, they're hitting that form, man, and this is a good time to do so.
So I think what terrifies me the most is that Toronto, they outslayed by like 6 kills. They legitimately don't outslay the Mutineers by all that much. That may be the most terrifying stat line of the year. It's not somebody dropping 40 kills. It's not just somebody dropping 50 kills. It's the fact that they looked that great without any particular player having that crazy of a performance. I mean, what does that say about this Ultra team to dominate the way that they did, yet for nobody to be the outright star?
Teamwork makes the dream work. It's that simple, man. No one has to go Superman mode. They know exactly what's going on. When you were watching him in that control, when Bance dies towards dark, there's a player on Toronto that already has that crossfire. Their crossfires are set up. It's beautiful watching them play because it's just strategy. Everything, when you're looking at the minimap, when you're watching Ultra, you're going to learn something. If you're a team that's not really doing a lot of teamwork plays, go back and watch Ultra, man, because they're making this look way too easy.
Yeah, they absolutely did. And the part that looked unbelievably easy was the start of this hard point. And we'll obviously be taking a look at this for our scuff play of the game. As we mentioned it, as you labeled it, Stud, it was all out dominance here from Toronto. Let's take a look at it again. But if you are under the age of 18, we highly recommend that you do not watch this because it is it's scary. It's terrifying.
Yeah, so you see Ultra, they were able to get 52 seconds off of that P1. That's something you usually don't see. But then they're able to chain it to the rotation of P2. They're holding this from the front. And right here, you just see a bunch of Florida players just consistently hitting that front one by one by one. You're playing to the exact of what Ultra wants you to do. Just solo, push out, give them free kills, and then just make the game easier for them. Then once that happened, they were able to pick up a couple kills, push out immediately, and flip those spawns, man. Like their teamwork, their awareness, their info on the game is just on point. And Ultra, like I said, looking great so far in Stage 5.
Yeah, looking excellent. They start off the stage great versus Minnesota. They get to 3-0 versus LAG. They get to 3-0 versus Surge. And they also take down the Florida Mutineers in style in our final 2 maps. And they got a date with the Dallas Empire still. I know there's still, a debate in regards to seeding, how everything looks, and who can obviously take that #1 spot. So that heavily emphasizes that Ultra versus Empire match, which I believe is going to be going down on Sunday. But now for the Mutineers, experiencing their first loss, but you got to give them a lot of credit. Again, starting off the stage so well, 3-0 start, a respectable loss here versus the Ultra. Instead, they still have Minnesota Røkkr to face off against too.
Yeah, that's going to be tough, man. It's going to be a tough game because Florida, they were undefeated in hardpoint. They come in the series and they lose both. So they need to have an answer in that series versus Røkkr, especially in that game mode.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, you can witness the most epic moment in Call of Duty Esports at the CDL Championship Weekend live in Los Angeles on August 19th through the 22nd. Come and see your favorite pros compete on stage for the coveted title of 2021 CDL Champions. Tickets are available now at CallOfDutyLeague.com. You see the memes, you see the hype, you see the excitement. When we come back after the break, it is Lonnie, joined alongside by Cammy and the crew.
The Call of Duty League is brought to you by GameFuel. Unlock a CDL team pack with any purchase on gamefuel.com/CDL while supplies last. Offer ends on August 31st. Tournament audio and team listen-ins are powered by Astro Gaming, the official headset and mix amp of the Call of Duty League.
Hello everybody and welcome to the GameFuel Victory Spotlight. You can see right now we have a little bit of a teaser trailer of the Toronto Ultra here before Cammy is joining me as well from Toronto Ultra. Your teammates, they're a lot of fun, Cammy, I've got to say. They are a hell of a lot of fun, you can tell right there. But you know what was really fun is watching you guys close this one out. Congratulations on the dub, man. I want to go straight into S&D. I think, I often talk about how amazing you guys are, and I will do later on, but Search was pretty, I'd say maybe disappointing, I think, for Ultra fans. You went round 11. It was pretty epic, but you guys just couldn't quite clutch it up. You both actually teams had a 75% win rate on on that map, so it's pretty even going. But why couldn't you get things like moving in that last round 11 there? What happened?
I think our mid-run adjustments and stuff were just kind of not as good as normal. I think also Florida are also pretty good at that map. They're also a pretty good S&D team, so they were matching us pretty well. They beat us on it the first time we ever played it, so I think they already had a bit of an idea on what we did, and they just clutched up when it came to the 5-5.
Got you. They were doing a bit of intel, a little bit of a VOD review. They had your number on S&D, but I tell you what, you guys looked pretty damn amazing for the rest of the series. Were you guys happy with how you played?
Yeah, I'd say we're reasonably happy. It's Florida have been improving quite a lot, so they're not an easy team to beat, and we played both hardpoints, I'd say, pretty well, and control was a bit sloppy, but we managed to get the job done. So yeah, I'd say I'm reasonably happy with it.
Okay, the beginning of that last hardpoint looked pretty damn good, I must say. Now, I want to ask you a bit about your planning in terms of Major 5 and more importantly Champs, because obviously you guys are gunning for the title. That is no secret. You guys have been absolutely on point for majority of your season, and you potentially have to take down a Titan like Atlanta FaZe when you get to the full 60. So talk to me about how you're going to approach that. Are you guys planning already? Is this something that you guys have considered? Is it just kind of like a, well, we'll just see when we get there, or is there more strategy to it?
No, that we've been improving or trying to improve our bad hardpoint maps. I'd say control. I'd say we match Atlanta and the other top teams pretty well on that, and it's just kind of like an on the day thing. But with hardpoint and S&D, it's just trying to improve on our weaker maps, staying strong on our good ones, and then obviously just come the major that we actually put it into play.
Love it, love it. Can't wait to see that put into play. Thank you so much, Cammy, for your time, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Well, there we have it. We've heard from Ultra. You know what? I'm running out of questions for these guys. They're so damn good. I don't even know what to ask them anymore. But I tell you what, I do know one thing is that they are going to be very dangerous heading into Major 5 and into Champs. So teams need to do a little bit more VOD review, I think, to try and take that dub from them. We're going to head to a quick break right now. But when we come back, I actually do have recording artist oLLeY on standby. I'm going to be talking to him as we get out of the break to find out who he's a fan of, what he's been up to. I know he's just had a tour, so we'll find out all of that good stuff and more. Well, we are just about halfway through day 2 here at the Seattle Surge home. So as you can see right now, the Space Needle, a gorgeous view of Seattle. But I tell you what is more gorgeous, that is oLLeY coming in to talk about all things to do with Surge, to do with his music. oLLeY, first of all, welcome. It's lovely to have you on the show. Congratulations, by the way, on your full-length album coming out and also your first tour. How are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Happy to be here. This is crazy. I watch this like all the time, so to be on this show is pretty crazy.
No, I love to hear it. I like to hear that you're a Call of Duty League fan. Also, congratulations as well on teaming up with Surge. So how did that come to be? How did you get involved with Surge?
Actually, Prestinni found my music and he posted on Instagram one day. So I messaged him, we started playing some Call of Duty, and then from there we got in contact with the Surge. So yeah.
Love to hear it. Now I've got to ask you real quick, because I'm going to actually ask you to do some pick'ems. But before I do, are you a Surge fan? Were you always a Surge fan, or has Prestinni kind of won your heart over here?
Prestinni definitely won my heart. I've always been an OpTic fan, but I got to cheer for my boy Prestinni. I hope to see them win, and I think they will today.
I love to hear it, man. Now, we're going to bring you into our pick'ems here because you're now officially a talent member, being on part of the desk. So, I've got to ask you, Empire versus Surge, who are you taking?
I'm taking Surge. I think they're going to win 3-2. The last time I saw Empire play Surge, it was down to the wire, so I think they're going to win 3-2 last Search and Destroy.
I like it. Is your friend also thinking Surge too? Or is he thinking Dallas? Like, what is he picking?
I think he'd pick Surge as well. We all cheer for Surge here.
You know what? I respect it. I respect it. Where are you going to be watching today's matches? Where do you usually watch?
I'm on the road right now. I'm actually recording at my friend's house, Powfoos, but I usually watch just at my house in Toronto. So, yeah.
Oh, I love it. Love it, man. Well, good luck on the road. Love to hear it. Make sure you guys always check out ollie's new album as well. Maybe this was supposed to happen. I also think this interview was supposed to happen, ollie's, so I think it's perfect timing. And thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck with your pick'ems.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Well, I'll tell you what, folks, you already know what is on the table. We talked about it. We've got Dallas versus Surge, but we also have your wonderful casters, Stud and Lando. They are standing by on deck right now to bring you your next match here at the Seattle Home Series. They'll see you guys right after the break.